Hello, everybody. Welcome to Damien Sneed Dialogues. This is a wonderful episode because we actually had technical difficulties, which means it's going to be a phenomenal episode tonight. This is the 10th episode of Damien Sneed Dialogues, and my good friends are here with me all the way from Los Angeles, California, and I believe in the Philadelphia, New York City area. I'd like to introduce my first guest as we discuss faith, film, and the arts. The first guest is someone that I've known for a very long time, and I will try to rush along this lengthy resume and bio. I met her when I was a student at Howard University, and she was studying at the great Duke Ellington School of the Arts, and we both attended the same church in Northeast Washington, D.C. You may have seen her recently on the OWN network, Oprah Winfrey's network, on the drama series If Loving You Is Wrong. She's been featured in roles on HBO, like shows like The Wire and Treme, also independent films like The Middle of Nowhere. She attended NYU, New York University's Tisch School of the Arts, here in New York City. She's been on Law and Order, One Life to Live, the ABC daytime soap opera, Brothers and Sisters, a recurring role on that show. She married, and I was fortunate enough to be able to play for her wedding. She married Kelvin Dickerson in 2012. And I'll save some of her bio and some of her interesting life work for her to talk about. But there's so many other shows that she's been on: Chicago Med, Angel Rodriguez, New Amsterdam, Veep. I could go on and on. Please welcome to the platform Edwina Findley Dickerson.
Hello, how are you?
Awesome. And the next person that I'd like to introduce very quickly is another good friend of mine. And I remember the first time I met him was in Los Angeles, California at a conference. And we'll definitely talk about that as I begin to ask Edwina some questions. His name is Chaz Lamar Shepard. He was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and he has been heard on the famous, well-known song by the West Angeles Church of God in Christ release, Lord Prepare Me to Be a Sanctuary. He's been an actor in The Temptations, in the movie Set It Off, Seventh Heaven, The Parker, Sister, Sister, The Game. He's done so many things, and I'll have more time to talk about him as well. You may have even seen him on Netflix, I believe, in Luke Cage, as Raymond Piranha Jones. He's not only a performer and actor, but he's also a songwriter. Please welcome my friend, Chaz Shepard.
You. Hello.
So
Hi,
thank you all
Chaz.
so much for joining us.
What's
This is
up,
really
y'all?
exciting. So my first question for you all as we talk about faith, film, and the arts is a simple question. How did you get into this career? How did you get into this? Making a long story short, both of my guests are extremely busy. They have other events. Edwina's in 3 hours behind in California, and she has some exciting things she has to actually do in a few minutes. But tell us, Edwina, when you go first, how did you get into this career?
Yeah, I mean, like you, Damien, I've been studying since a kid, right? And so going to all the arts camps and anything my mother could find to put me in as a child. And I'm so grateful for her because, a lot of times parents tell kids, sit down, be quiet, you're too loud. Why you singing so much? Why you dancing around the house? I just appreciate that my mother saw those things as gifts, right? And said, I'm going to invest in her and I'm going to nurture these things. And so once I became a teenager, I went to Duke Ellington School of the Arts in DC and then went on to NYU and studied drama there. And then after that, after coming out, I sort of had this hybrid career of being at the Shakespeare Theater at night in DC playing Lady Mortimer and then running up to Baltimore during the day and killing drug dealers on the wire and then coming back and forth. But that's one of the things I've loved so much about being an actor, just being able to flow in and out of cultures and time periods and different types of characters. And a lot of the characters I've played are very different from myself. And that's one thing I just love too, because I'm always taught something new when playing a role.
Awesome.
And I must say, thank you so much for having me, Damien. You are an amazing artist, an amazing academician, and all the above. And you, Chaz, I'm definitely a fan of your work. I look at your face
Right
and I want
back
to
at you.
I'll never forget your quintessential scene in Set It Off.
Set
Oh
it
my
off.
gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, brother. So it's definitely an honor to be here with both of you.
Awesome. And Chaz, the same question for you, my brother. How did you come to be in your present career field?
Well, of course, first, let me return that to both of y'all, because I am absolutely admirer of both of you. And so, you know, and my fellow actress over here, you know, that's just the work that you got going on is just incredible. But congratulations, Damien. You are amazing. What a maestro. What a everything. You know what I'm saying? I can give an intro, so I ain't gonna take up half the interview on the intros on accolades alone. But hi to y'all. Love y'all by default. Now, your question. I'm actually sitting in mommy's bedroom right now. It was that woman who got vision and shared it with me. I received the vision. The vision was actually not a ego push on her end or a greed push. You know, those what they call stage moms. It wasn't anything like that, but she saw you know, things that were in me before I did. She shared that. Those things came into fruition. But I'm in the very room actually where she found out that I'd gotten my first movie, which was Queen by Alex Haley, which was his last edition of the whole Roots series, you know, that whole empire. And so I happen to be sitting in the beginning of it, Damien, right now in her room. She is gone now. She died about 8 years ago. But I actually am sitting in the place where that part of it started. So it started with me writing a song real quick. I can do it in 15 seconds. Me writing a song in a room by myself to a track that was left in the cassette player. Brought that song home to my mom. She didn't even know I sang. I sang the song I'd written. She immediately picked up the phone, called someone she was working with who was a producer, and said, hold on a second. She said, do that again. She held the phone up. I sang. She said, did you hear that? The lady said, bring him over. That started the singing, and it went on from there into acting. You know what I mean? Get into the story. But it started with mom. That's the talent is a different story. That's her and dad. But as far as the vision, the nurturing, the everything, and she was the momager. So yeah.
Okay, this
Cheryl Shepherd is her name.
This is so perfect, and it's perfect that my friend Audrey Hartman is on, because Audrey's been a good friend of mine when I first moved to New York. She and her daughter Tiffany Stevenson, who you all both know, and you all seen her perform with me. Tiffany allowed me to share the space with them. Now, this is what's interesting. You carefully led us into the next question that I want to ask. I want to jump right into it. I usually go in a different pattern, but you said that your mother, perfect point of conversation, your mother saw the vision in you. And I want to talk about vision. I want to talk about faith, film, and the arts. I want to talk about prophecy. I want to talk about the prognostication of our gifts. My mother passed in November of 2015. Okay, you said your mother passed in 2012. Edwina, when did your mom pass?
2014.
2014.
2012,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, we all know that, you know, our parents are close to us. Our mothers, you know, anything like that, it can be very difficult. So this is the question. One second. So this is the question that I have. You said your mother saw this in you. When I met you, Chaz, actually at a prophetic conference, my godmother Rita Womack in Los Angeles. You were there with a lot of people at the Westin Hotel, I believe it is, right by the LAX airport. And we met at Greater Mount Calvary Holy Church. And I know you have Abundant Life University, but there's so much to your story that you have shared with people, how prophecy has been a mainstay in everything that you've done and that you do. So can we shift there with faith, film, and the arts, and even how God was there for you losing your mother? And what's painful when people lose people losing people now, even in COVID-19. But can we talk about that briefly?
Yeah, Chaz, do you want to go first?
Well, your audio is great, but Damien, whenever you're talking, it sounds like somebody's typing.
Yeah, you might
So
want to
I'm
mute yourself,
kind of
Damien.
I'm muted now. I think it's someone else.
Okay.
okay. So yeah. So I was trying to get the fullness of the question. I heard some. I was hearing in and out. What's the exact question?
Can hop in. Let's see. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me
Now I
okay?
can hear you.
You can?
I think
Okay.
it's your
Now,
mic,
Damien,
Edwina.
I
So,
can hear you.
yeah, so Damien was basically wanting to segue into so how our mothers played a role in that. And I know that I will say that, you know, again, that foresight, and Chaz, I feel like you're saying the same thing, that our mothers had a certain level of foresight when it came
Mhm.
as as people, as artists. And for me, God started speaking to me around 16 years old, and really yeah, just told me that I was going to be an actress and that I was going to go to Hollywood. And I stood on that word. God told me that I was going to work with Tyler Perry, that I was going to work with Oprah. And of course, that's what I've been doing the last 5 years. And nearly everything in my life has been a reflection of a prophetic word. So, you know, the prophetic has been a huge guide in my life, as well as confirmation, as well as comfort. Because sometimes you don't know what's around the corner, but you may just feel like you have a word and you have to stand on it and step out on faith. So that's sort of been the totality of my life, has really been centered around God saying something and me moving into it, and kind of, no matter how long it takes to manifest, knowing that I'm supposed to stand on that word.
Chaz, Chaz, can you hear
Mhm.
me? Sounds like
I hear
somebody.
you. Say it. Say it again.
I
Can
said,
you hear
what
me?
about you? How has faith been with you for through film and the arts?
Gotcha. Oh, now you were right clear there. Can you hear me clear? Can you hear me? Okay, okay. Man, so I like her word, guide. That's exactly what it has been. Faith has been a guide. Faith has been hope. Faith has been the strength, the push. It has literally been the foundation of this ride, the foundation of the journey of manifesting what's inside of that happening. So faith has literally been, because just like she said, I believed what I heard. Okay, and so that's what happens when you believe. Just what Jesus would say, your faith has made you whole. When you believe, your body responds, your mind starts to attack what it is you believe. So because I believed the prophecies, because I believed the words that were said to me by my mother, and that were backed up and even confirmed in other from other places, I believed it. So all of my essence and all of my soul went right forward. So my soul agreed to what I heard. It wasn't so far fetched that I was like, oh no, that's not me. I believed it. I received it. So it was what guided me throughout the whole thing. Even set it off when I did that movie. At that time, I was not willing to use profanity. At that time, not at all. I just connected it to my particular walk, and I wasn't willing to do it. Well, this was the hottest role for my age group, for my so-called kind at the time, and so everybody of anywhere near my type, we were all going out for this particular role at that time, and I went in there, and naturally, it wasn't even a thing for me to substitute what would have been profanity. That character was supposed to be cussing all throughout that thing. But naturally, I just did that. And would you believe, obviously, it worked. So, of course, why would they go with me? Everybody's going to say it. Everybody's going to do it. I went in there with that faith foundation. I did what was in me. And not only did I get the role, but when it was time for Jada and I to rehearse with the director, F. Gary Gray turned to Jada after one run of it and said, "You know what? Yeah, let's try this whole scene without any profanity." Therefore, the scene where I tell her I'm not going to college and she slaps the crap out of me and all that had some other words in it, but now it's a completely clean scene. So that's one example of what faith did with me in my career. So I recently turned away something that could be a great boost to my career for the sake of the integrity of my faith. You know what I mean? So when you have faith, when you're connected, you come in not just to do whatever you can do, but you're able to now do what's right for you because you're, like she said, guided by that faith.
That is powerful. That is powerful. Edwina, have you ever been met with any opposition or discouragement along the way? And if so, was it this catapulting force forward from prophecy, from your faith, from the people that spoke into your life when you were younger and encouraged you and helped you get a glimpse of the future? Did that help to propel you and keep you afloat? Because a lot of people see you all on camera, they see you all in film, on television, and they think that everything is wonderful, hunky-dory, and totally easy with the silver spoon, that you always have money and funding to create everything that's in your head, in your heart, in your spirit, in your mind to do. But have you dealt with any opposition? If so, how do you maneuver through those times?
Yes. So I've absolutely met opposition, and I don't think that you can exist in this entertainment industry without opposition. I mean, there's opposition nearly every day. So you have to be anchored to something, right? You have to be anchored. And I will say, like Chaz, wow, what a powerful story. Who would have known that? And the most beautiful thing is we didn't miss it. Like I never one time saw that scene and was like, wait, he's not cursing. That's not authentic. And that's so funny. You would think, oh wait, that it would be this glaring omission, but it wasn't at all, which that's so beautiful. Like I already know some people I want to share that story with. But I know for me it was kind of a similar thing as far as nudity. I had this big opportunity. It was my first big opportunity to do a show in Hollywood, and it was one of those like game changer moments, from the prestige of it to the director to the money to everything. But I just knew in my spirit I can't sign this nudity clause, and so I had to forego the opportunity. But every other part about it felt like this is God, right? This is God. God granted this open door. How could it have been stopped by this? Right? When you're trying to honor God and then feel like something's taken away, it causes you to question. And I'm going to tell you, he spoke to me through the story of Isaac and Abraham. When he called Abraham to sacrifice Isaac, but it was so perplexing because Isaac was the child of the promise. So how are you going to have me lay down the very thing that you promised me, and promised him that there will be a multitude after Isaac? So if I kill my one and only possibility, then how will there be a harvest after this? But those are the times where you really have to lean into, okay, what is that big picture? What did God say? And do you believe it? Do you believe it? Do you believe it? And I will tell you that it was 3 years between me saying no to then God opening a door in Hollywood for me to do a whole show and everything. But when he opened it, it was on a whole other level. It was on a whole other level, and so, yeah, I had to wait. I had to take time. I had to sacrifice, right? And I had to believe that God had something else in store and that I was doing the right thing. And I appreciate it when we all have those times of confirmation, right? Like we don't have all the answers, but God will just send a beautiful confirmation to us to let us know, just hold on, I'm coming. And that's what he did. And I truly believe that there was a timing and a season, right, that I was supposed to come. I wasn't supposed to come years before. I was supposed to come in the exact time that God sent me, and he made all of the circumstances line up in my favor.
That is amazing. Now I know you may have to jump off because you have something coming up this evening, but if you can talk about this, I know that you juggle so many different things. You are a wife, you are a mother, you are an actress. I believe you are a director. I believe you are a producer. You are a writer, and you also have abundant life. So you're a visionary and you're a planner. How do you juggle so many things? A lot of the people that I bring on this platform, I use the phrase that people used to say to me, be careful because you'll be a jack of all trades and a master of none. But the difference is because of our faith and because we've been intrinsically injected with so much gifting and talent, from the creator, from the giver of talent, we are constantly having to empty ourselves because we get frustrated if we don't bring to fruition. I heard you all use that word too. Everything that's in our mind to do, and so that could be a little frustration for as creatives and savants that we want it done like this. But Edwina, how do you juggle so much? How old is your child right now? How, like, tell us, and what about abundant life you, and like even today, your schedule, how do you cook? How do you eat? How do you do your hair? How do you like brush your teeth? Like simple things.
So that's such a great question. I mean, I think, well, first of all, I do believe that God adds to us, right? Like we start with something just like the parable of the talents, and then as we use it, God increases us. And I think as he increases us, he also increases our capacity, right, for more. And so, yeah, I honestly was afraid of becoming a mom because I was like, oh, what's that going to mean for my career? And what's that going to mean for this and that? And then it was like, I became a mom twice. I have two little ones. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And, I'm acting and I'm writing and I'm producing and we're doing ministry and so many other things. And that's true. But I feel like Damien, I think you and I share in common a love for education, right? And learning and growing. And so I know early on, like in my 20s, I was reading all these self-help books and purpose books and time management books. And there's this one time management book that I just love called Time Management from the Inside Out. And what it does is it's different from a lot that I had read before where it sort of assumes that you're in corporate America and that you should wake up by 5:45 and then go to the gym and then come back and have your smoothie and then go to the office and then tell your secretary to whatever. It was like, that's not my life. I'm in my 20s. I'm Black. I'm a girl. I'm not making that much money. I'm going on auditions. That was not my reality. But what I love about this book, and it's by an author named Julie Morgenstern, is that it encourages you to focus all of your time around what's most important to you and around what your goals are. Understanding that your goals change, understanding that your life roles change. And so for me, it's been this seasonal kind of continually reevaluating what are the top roles in my life right now. What do I need to give the most attention to? What are the things that I feel called to, right, versus are nice to do, and that, and also evaluating what will move the needle as far as the big picture that God has given me. So now I'm taking courses at UCLA. Like there's so many things that are happening, but because I have learned structure as far as time management and really staying focused on what are the things, what are those very specific things that I know that I'm called to. I know I'm called to my husband. I know I'm called to my children. I know I'm called to acting. I know I'm called to creating and producing and writing. And then it was like, okay, well, then I want to learn more about that. Then I'm going to go back to school. Then I'm going to take screenwriting classes. you know, to be excellent in these areas, while also I feel it's also important for us to allow ourselves, like I said, seasons change, right? So if we have to shift in one season, maybe we're not out and about. I mean, look, it's the season now for us with quarantine. So none of us are hopping on planes and zipping back and forth and all the things that we may have been doing before, out with our friends or having coffee every other day or whatever. It's like things have changed, right? So I think that it just means that we have to evaluate ourselves even more as far as what are the things that are most valuable in this season.
That is amazing. So before you go, what is a way that people can reach out to you? What is your website and a cash app? So if people want to sew into you,
All right.
what is your website?
I couldn't hear the question, Dave. Oh, okay. So people can connect with me. My website is edwinafindley.com. EWINAFINDLEY.com. Also on Instagram and Twitter at Edwina Findley. And on Facebook, Edwina Findley Dickerson.
Wow. That is great. And is this correct?
What'd you say?
Is this correct on the screen for Cash App?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes. So that's our nonprofit organization, our ministry, Abundant Life U.
So if you want to be able to follow all the wonderful things that Edwina is doing, you can reach her at her website, www.edwinafindley.com, EDWINA, Findley.com. Her Instagram is Edwina Findley. On Facebook, it is Edwina Findley Dickerson. And then she and her husband have a nonprofit organization, which is really doing some cutting edge, amazing things in Hollywood, in our nation, and across the world with education, with giving to so many phenomenal organizations and people. It's just like a place where she's literally dumping and downloading and pouring out all the information and resources that she's been blessed to be in contact and connection with. And it's really good. I actually sewed into it a few days ago, and I'm going to sew more. Edwina, as long as you can stay on, it's great. If you need to leave, I understand, because I think you have a show or a pilot test or something tonight. Yes. Awesome. So, Chaz, I'd like to ask
Thank you so much, Damien.
Definitely. Chaz, I'd like to ask you the same question. How do you deal with difficulty? How do you deal with times that are discouraging? How do you deal with moments where, like I said, as creatives, we get excited about a project. Like even now in COVID-19, in this pandemic, we were thinking we were going to have certain jobs and certain things lined up. And because of the pandemic, they're not there. So we have to have faith to trust that we'll still have one stream of income where we had multiple streams. Now we may only have one, or none, but we still have to trust, that we'll be okay. So how do you deal with the discouragement? And then I'll ask you later, how do you juggle all the things that you do? Even living back and forth in different coasts. Edwina was living in New York and LA at a time, bi-coastal, going back and forth. I think that was right around the time before she got married. But how do you deal with all of that, and being a singer, being a writer, being an actor, having your own platform? Edwina has a platform. She just did a phenomenal thing called 21 Days of Happy. Check that out online. It's really, really amazing, with her from New York, from CCC, Christian Cultural Center, A.R. Bernard, and she had people like Farnsworth Bentley. She had, I can't remember her name now, the actress. You have to help me. I can't remember her name. She also had Erica Campbell. There were a lot of people that are there where they're talking about how to stay upbeat and how to stay very positive as far as the mindset. And, we can easily go down because we spend all of our time helping others in their emotions and in their mindset, in their spirits, to be encouraged. So how do you stay encouraged, and how do you juggle all of this stuff, Chaz?
Hey, well, concerning this time, this COVID time, it goes with the joke. You want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So yeah, we thought a lot of things, didn't we? And and it has obviously made a drastic turn from a lot of what we had planned. But as I answer that question before she has to jump off, congratulations, Edwina. Congratulations on all that is your life. Just congratulations on your life. You know what I mean? Just as I listen to him talk about listen to you talk about you and listen to him talk about you, I just find it fascinating that you are this blessed.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And just it's just fantastic. So I got to tell you congratulations. But so you said, how do I juggle everything first? That's what you want to know first? Yeah.
Yes.
So it's as a man thinketh, so is he. So my everything, my strength, my reason, my everything is based on my mind. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so notice it didn't say renewing of your heart. It's actually renewing of your mind, because it's as a man thinketh, woman thinketh, so are they. And so it's my mind, man. It's the way I perceive life. I am no matter how busy I am, my soul is at ease. I see life as a privilege. Now, I know it is definitely my thoughts are different, but I also notice that I'm happier than a lot of folk I know. My thoughts are like this thought right here. Life is a privilege, not a responsibility. Now, that sounds good, but it also can go against where I come from as far as church family. Okay. There are folks that feel like that life is a responsibility. It is your responsibility to do thus and so and all of that. The way I see it is that like the old saints would have a song called "What More Can He Do?" Laid the foundation, open up the way. What more can he do? I feel like God gave me this gift of life, gave me this privilege. So life is a privilege. Now, what you do with that privilege, what you do with that gift is on you. If you are obedient to what you hear in your spirit or not, that's on you. If you are driven or you just want to chill and play PS4, play PlayStation all day, that's on you. But what you started with was the gift of life, the privilege of it. So you can just chill. You can be a farmer if you want, or you can take one of your talents and try to take it as far as it can go. The thing is, God gave us choice. So instead of me being so weighed down by I gotta this and I gotta that, I always say I ain't gotta nothing, but I choose to follow what's inside of me. But it's a choice. So now that I know I don't have to anything, that takes off a lot of the pressure. You know what I mean? So I don't have. I'm not in that. Oh my gosh, I'm not in that mode that much at all. I'm very relaxed, and that way I can just do one thing after the other. I think Valerie Simpson said that I was one of those jack of all trades, master of none. She was like, "All right, the thing is, you really do all of these things. You don't kind of do some of them. You legitimately do all of them. So you got to pick something that you can just rock with all the way, put all yourself into." And then, maybe some other things. But like you said, it's very hard when you authentically do a number of things. A number of things are in you all at the same time, all at the same level. So the way I juggle it, man, is Nike. I just do it. It's one thing at a time. And the crazy thing about being a creative, I know you know this, Damien, when it comes to music, you most time, you don't choose when to write an amazing song. You don't choose it happens when it happens. So you can set up, I'm gonna do a session or I'm going to whatever. But a lot of greatness happens, I guess, just in God's timing. It's not at my plan. So so I can plan well, and have good time management. But then while I'm doing something I plan to do, then I'll hear a melody that is for right now, and I gotta jump on that right now and navigate, like reshape the time, because this is something. So as a creative, you know, it's all over the place. But I'm a father, you know, so that means, yes, one thing I know is I'm gonna be up by 8 to take her to dance camp. You know what I'm saying? Throughout the summer, you know, and sometimes I will get a good amount of sleep. I already know sometime I won't, because I'm also a producer and a writer. I'm also setting myself up to do things like you're doing right now, and that's setting myself up to be a virtual entertainer as well, because that's where we're moving now. So, you know, I got my iRig today. It's on the floor over here somewhere. I got, you know, I'm investing in a lot of software, learning a whole bunch. All of that is happening at the same time. So the way I juggle it to make it as simple as possible is I just do it as I just go. As I have a song called "Going," and that's all this, that's the main lyric of the whole song, is to simply say, I'm just going. I'm flowing. You know what I mean? I'm going. I'm in that flow. Oprah talks about the flow, being in the flow. So, you know, that's how I do it, man. But my mind lets me do it. I just want to make that point. I know it's kind of a long answer because all of that, it's the mind. Your mind is where your freedom is. Your mind is if you can relax your mind and be open enough to hear what the next move is. If you're so busy going all the time and choosing the next move, sometimes you can't actually hear what the next move is. That's what being in the flow is. My mom said soon before she died, she said, I'm good right now because you can hear. She said, I always told God, I just want him to be able to hear. And people would say, hear what? Be like, hear God in you. You know when to make an adjustment. Know when you thought, okay, we thought we was going to go down this road. But it's good when you're in a place where you can hear, not today. You know what I mean? Or, you know, I know you were waiting, but now's the time to jump. Sometimes you just have to be able to hear. To be honest with you, I mean, people, of course, like, it's a great question because people always want to know what's the steps. Well, that's the thing. It's like parenting. Good parenting, it's not a list of steps, because what worked yesterday may not work today. You've got to be in tune to know when to make that switch. So maybe that they did something that would normally get a punishment, but maybe something inside will tell you, okay, but not this one. This one may need to be a talk. You know what I mean? It's being able to hear. So I encourage everybody to try to practice, because all things come strong by practice. We have to practice getting in a space. Karen Clark has a song called The Secret Place. Getting in that space where you're always open to hear. It's not being over deep. It's not like, you know, I got to light up my incense and all of that stuff. But being in that place, staying in that place where you can hear. And when you know that for the most part, you're in that place, you can relax and you can do 20 things if that's what God puts in you. But we gotta, as my mom would say, be still sometimes. And be still and know what the knowing is knowing what's inside of you, knowing that whatever God is always right, as Noel Jones would say. God is always right. And so when you have those things as your foundation in your mind, then you're open enough to hear and to move and to remove fear out of the way, scared to not be accepted and be considered appropriate, scared to, you know, not make it, or scared to take the leap. Oh, we don't have time for that. Like Sweet Brown said, ain't nobody got time for that. We ain't got time for no fear, baby. You know, we do have it take 5-10 minutes or whatever to just be still, hear nothing. It don't have to be a great, but just getting that practice. And I think I won't be the only one, which I know I'm already not, but it'll be way more of us, I'll say, who are able to live in peace, even through the challenges and all of that stuff that just comes with life, one way or the other, you know.
Wow. You mentioned wanting to be someone who has a virtual platform. You have that. You all go on Instagram almost every night. I think Chaz is on there sweating and singing, writing songs, taking suggestions for what he should sing. But, you know, when this pandemic hit, the first platform that I went on online before all this other stuff started opening up, from Lincoln Center, Classical World, from the music industry, from friends, was from my friend Edwina for her platform, 21 Days of Happy. So Edwina was seeing ahead of time. And, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, they heard when the year was turning from 2019 to 2020, people said, oh, this is the year of vision, 2020, the year of perfect vision. But actually, and people said, oh, it wasn't. Actually, it is, because people now can see the darkness. And now it's so dark, and they were just looking at the similar on the peripheral, that they thought everything was, wonderful and illuminated, but now they're seeing the actual darkness and seeing people, systems, and systemic things for what they really are. And so now that they are aware of the darkness, we have to hear. We have to rely on the five senses in our spirit. We have to not just rely on sight, because it's so dark. It's so dismal. It's like, you stick your hand out, and you can feel the darkness cloaking everything about you. You can go outside and feel there's a difference. As a Black man, I feel like an endangered species at times. I'm born in the South, but even in New York, or just with all the things that are going on, all the negativity that we're seeing on social media. So you've got the sight, but then sometimes you have to hear. And sometimes we have to hear because we don't know what's coming next. This is actually the season of the unknown, because we don't know what's next. So the only way that we can know how to move, how to maneuver, that's the word you used, is to be able to not just see and hear, but we've got to feel. We've got to be able to taste that something good is coming, even though nothing around us is good. We've got to be able to smell, that there's blessings, smell that there's still opportunity for us, because so many people are discouraged. And I know people don't understand. They're like, well, I thought this platform at one time was for classical music, and it was for this, and it was very didactic. But I'm talking about faith, because that's personally how I have made it. That's personally how I'm here. That's how you're here. That's how Edwina's here. Whatever it is, through the loss of our mothers, whether it's through the ups and downs of the industry, the season that we're in now as creatives, and we don't know when we can go back to work, having to navigate and transform and just continue to reinvent ourselves on a daily basis. As you said, as a parent, even Edwina with her two children, and you with your daughter, there's no perfect way, there's no perfect paradigm. You have to constantly change. So my question to you, Edwina, in all of this, can you tell me, I usually ask people for two defining moments, but could you give me two memorable moments in your life or in your career where you just knew that this was something that was God, or you knew it was like that catapulting, shifting, turning moment that propelled you into your destiny in a greater way?
Yeah. Let me ask Chaz, can you hear me okay, or am I crackly?
No, I can make through. You're frozen, but I hear you.
Oh, I'm frozen. Okay. We were just trying to figure out if it was me, because it's been crackly for me. But
no, I hear you.
I'll
right
just
now.
answer quickly. There was definitely a huge moment for me where kind of after receiving the whole word about coming to California, and then God opening the door for me to come to California and do a show. Right after that, I went to Dallas to speak at a Christian conference for artists who were looking to come into the entertainment industry, Christian artists who were looking to come into the entertainment industry. And the next day, I just visited with my god sister down in Dallas, and we went to this open mic night at a club. And wouldn't you know, there was this prophet standing at the door. And she stopped me and she said, "What'd you decide on, California or New York?" And I was in Dallas for the first time in my life. And I said, "Well, I flew here from California, and tomorrow I'm leaving for New York to pack my things and send them and move." And she was like, "Uh-huh." She said, "Do you know who Tyler Perry is?" I said, "I know who he is. I've never met him." And she was like, well, she started explaining his studios and everything in Atlanta. And she was like, "That's what the Lord is doing with you." She said, "You're going to be a major force in the entertainment industry, and you have a partner in New York that you're supposed to reconnect with. And that person is going to be very influential in helping to bring about the plans that God has for your life. Okay, nice to meet you." And that was it. And my god sister who was with me was like, "Whatever happened to that guy you were dating in New York?" I was like, "Who, Kelvin?" She said, "Yeah, that's who I thought of when she was prophesying that you're supposed to reconnect with a partner, your partner in New York." I'm like, wow, we've been broken up almost 2 years. And then I remembered that God had given me the same word. God told me that was my husband. And he told me that before you move to California, that you'll be back together. But now it's 7 days. It is 7 days between the time I'm now receiving confirmation of this word and the time that I'm moving to California. I'm like, how are you going to do this in 7 days? We've been broken up for 2 years. And sure enough, my now husband showed up on my grandparents' doorstep in Washington, D.C. the day before I was set to move to California. And we got back together that day, the day before.
The day before.
Yep. And I've had a lot of defining moments like that, but and then of course, fast forward now, I've been working with Tyler Perry for the last 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Down in Atlanta at his studio, and now have been given a star on his Walk of Fame at his studio. And it's like sometimes you don't fully understand how God is going to do what he's going to do. You don't always understand the how, right? And sometimes it's the how that trips us up because we can't see it. We just can't see it, right, from a distance. But what God is trying to do is get our attention and allow us to envision it before we see it. Like Chaz said earlier, to believe even before we receive it, to actually exercise our faith and believe what's being said, believe what God is showing you, and just be a faithful steward, right? Not worrying about, which dot is going to connect with which dot that's going to lead to this and that. That's not our job. Our job is to be a faithful steward over what he's done, over what he's doing in our lives and what he's shown us, and being faithful in our part of the manifestation of that. So I just want to encourage anybody and everybody that's listening to this, that if you have a word, stand on it. Do what you need to do by faith. Don't be discouraged by the amount of time that it takes, because in due season, you will reap if you do not faint. I love you guys.
Before you go, Edwina, I just want to say this. What's amazing is that I've done this episode weekly for 2 weeks. This is the 10th week. This is the first week that we had technical difficulties. But what's interesting is we're talking and telling people about hearing, and yet people are having trouble hearing, because that's actually how it is. Many times you will have clutter, you will have interference, and you have to really have your ear very clear to be able to hear exactly what you're supposed to do. Not what
if you can hear me, I can't hear you.
And see,
yeah, I can't. Yep. I see y'all smiling, but I think I just lost sound.
So log off and log back in. Chaz.
It's so weird. I hear nothing. I see you, but I can't hear you.
I sent you a message. So he dropped he dropped his phone and you couldn't hear, but it's so interesting. You see, this is happening as I'm saying it. That's what we're talking about. But many times we have to, not that it's a struggle, but sometimes you will experience things that will come to deter, D-E-T-E-R, or detour you from your purpose and your destiny. And if you're not set as flint, that's a saying, or having your spirit, your spirit man, your spirit woman, having yourself set as this is what I'm supposed to do, you will not be able to withstand the inclement weather, so to speak, metaphorically, that comes in life, whether it is in sickness, whether it is in people that don't believe in you, whether it's foundation being pulled from under your feet, whether it is support systems not being there, money not being there, no matter what it is. These are the times that you have to anchor. And that's what we're talking about tonight, faith, film, and the arts. You have to anchor in place regardless of what's going on around you and regardless of whatever interference or clutter there is, because that sometimes comes as opposition because you're supposed to do something. And so that's why the opposition is there. And I'm appreciative of all the comments tonight. I know some people logged off and signed off because they couldn't take it. Good. That is what separates the cream from the crop. Everything we do should be done in excellence. But it's interesting, those of you that have been with me every week, tonight there have been several issues with the technology, and it's fine. But we have to know how to maneuver, how to improvise, and how to still move around. Did you want to say something, Edwina? I know you were going to go, but I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, I mean, I just love that. I love that you got such a deep revelation out of that, because I definitely have been praying here with all the interference, but what you're saying, recently I was blessed to host a special on OWN. And when you're hosting, a lot of times, professional television, you have what's called an IFP in your ear. And so the host has a little thing in their ear so that they can hear the guests and if they can hear each other. But a woman afterward, one of the producers said, Edwina, you had an IFP in your ear and you were hearing a certain channel. She said, but I had one in my ear and it was allowing me to hear a different channel. And I want to share with you what was being said about you on that channel. And when she shared it with me, I mean, it was said about me in a good way. It was such a blessing. But what it reminded me of was that we have different wavelengths, right? Like there's this area in this realm in which we can hear, but then God is having these whole other conversations that we may not be privy to. But it's like when heaven intercepts earth and we get an actual revelation of what's being said about us in the heavenly realms, that often just intercepts what we're thinking in the earthly realm, can blow our minds. And so I just want to, echo what both you and Chaz have talked about as far as hearing and as far as us really pressing in so that we can be connected in that way, because the truth is God's vision for us is higher than our vision for ourselves. It just is, no matter how big. And the word says that, exceeding abundantly above all you can ask or even imagine. So if you can even imagine it, God can do more. So I just want to encourage everybody to keep on dreaming. Yes, it's 2020. And like you said, Damien, it is still the year of vision if we allow ourselves to press in a new way and see beyond all that is going on around us, all the things that are trying to take our attention every moment of the day in the news and the media. Everything's trying to take our attention and just rip it in 55,000 directions. But if we will press in and allow ourselves to see like never before and hear like never before, I just really believe that God is setting us up for an incredible breakthrough.
That's powerful to press in. This is 2020. I've said this before, that in 1919, the Spanish flu came about 100 years ago, a pandemic. But it was that time that people like Madam C.J. Walker had some push to press in, regardless of what was going on. And then she became a multimillionaire, and she became one to propagate other women like yourself 100 years later, even after the Harlem Renaissance, 400 years after Africans coming to America from the West Coast to Point Comfort. So, you said something. And for me, I pay attention to everything. I pay attention to every little detail, because that is how we do our jobs. You all have not been selected for these major films and these major television shows and recordings and all these artistic adventures and endeavors if you didn't have attention to detail with the character, with what you're wearing, with everything about you. So the fact that they're in the details, paying attention to the details, there's a lot of interference and there's a lot of technical clutter going on. It reminded me of something that I don't think I've ever shared with anyone. I remember growing up, and I may be dating myself, now people have the luxury and the accoutrement of an iPad. There were iPods before that, CD players, Walkman, and then there was a cassette player, and then there was 8-track. But for me, I grew up, yes, playing in church, but I listened to the music on AM radio, and there was not a gospel radio station in Augusta, Georgia. Our radio station was in South Carolina, and where I lived and the way my room was facing, I would listen to hours and hours of radio, but the entire time there was a the entire time. So I had to press through the static just to allow my ear to be developed. You know, a lot of young people now have it easy. Yeah, they do. They have it easy because even our grandparents, if someone knows their great grandparent, our parents, our mothers told us about how it was. I was adopted. My mother was born in 1933. She had to drink from a colored fountain. You know, there was a fountain for colored people and a fountain for people that were not of color. You know, she had to go through a much more difficult dearth and pressure. And now people have things so easy. And if there's any difficulty, if there's any discomfort, people say, all right, I'm out, peace. They're gone. And the only way that you all, and I applaud both of you, have gotten to this, and I'd say celebrity star status, is because you all have pressed through. People see the glitz, the glamour. Yeah, we have lighting, we have high Wi-Fi, we have new computers and devices, and we have all the things that we need, all the tools. But the thing that's so important is that you know how to still perform, how to still execute when all the bottom falls out. You know, what I remember a concert that I did on tour and we lost power. And we had only done about 15 minutes of the concert. It was packed in Asheville, North Carolina. And thank goodness we had an acoustic grand piano. I told my singers to go out into the audience. Some went into the balcony with the light on their cell phone. Thank goodness they brought their cell phones on stage, had them in their pockets. And the drummer stayed on, but the bass guitar, the organist couldn't play. And we did a full concert. And Chaz, one of your friends that you've worked with, Marquita Knight from Los Angeles as well, was there touring with us. And I remember I looked out, I was doing the concert, and there were people there from different demographics. And I remember looking out, and Edwina, she was holding a baby. And the baby had mental deficiencies and physical deficiencies. And I remember seeing the mother give the child to Marquita while we were singing. And then all of a sudden I was looking that way because it was Marquita's time to sing audibly with her voice from the training that she's probably experienced in church and other places, also being an actress, you know, in Disney films and stuff. But she sang out, and the child immediately was mesmerized and looked at her. And the mother was, you know, in tears, but there was a healing going on because we lost the lights, camera, action. There was something going on that you can't, you know, you can't put into words. You can't begin to codify it, decode it. You can't put your finger on it. It's just a magic. It is, it's a spirit thing. It's something that happens. And, you know, tonight for the first portion, and we're really done. It's an hour. I may ask Chaz one or two more questions, but there was a lot of interference. But I think that is the message for all of you that pressed in to listen, dealing with the topic of faith, film, and the arts. You're going to have things that will come that you have to deal with. That's the real story that people don't always get to hear. You know, Chaz, I'm sure you can talk on it. I'm sure you've had times too where you have to encourage other people, but your heart is broken. You know, I have a song that I wrote called Broken to Minister, but you know, we have to get up on stage. You have to perform. You have to act. They don't care about your stomach pain that day. They don't care about, you know, the fact that you may have lost a relative. They don't care about the fact that you're dealing with something personal in your personal life. They just want you to just go, be on. And a lot of people don't understand the fortitude and the wherewithal that it takes to be able to hold to that. And, you know, this is, I see all the comments. Anything you want to say to that, Chaz? And I'll have maybe one or two more questions.
Sure, absolutely. It is true. Just, I would say to everyone, just like, you know, that not everyone knows what you feel. Just you, whoever you are as an individual. Not everyone knows what you really feel all the time. Not everyone is welcome into your dark places. Not everyone is welcome into your fears. You know how much you may cover what you are truly feeling in different moments. Well, just like you know that concerning you, imagine that for performers and for just other people, that they have the same type of thing going on, where they have what's going on inside, but you're only privy to what is outside and what they are choosing to show or what they're choosing to present. So yes, I like, and I don't really separate myself from humanity that way, but like humanity, uh, I have challenges that are just, I think the challenges are meant for me, but would break so many others. You know what I mean? I think that there are some who are able to go through things that I probably could not go through. But we definitely need to keep in mind that word process, the word challenge. One of my favorite sayings, and probably my favorite point that I've heard pointed out to Oprah over the last few years was this saying. She was interviewing someone, and a gentleman said, "Resistance is a force of nature." He said, if you can realize and really grasp that resistance is part of nature, is part of the whole thing, that resistance comes with it. So once you really understand that, you don't have to be as shocked by a challenge because you already know, well, that's part of the gig. You know what I'm saying? Like that comes with it. Damien is a leader. You know what I mean? Flat out, that's what he does. He leads. You know what I mean? The position that he is in. Well, he knows what comes with that. You know what I mean? He's going to go for who he knows he can work with. But at the same time, he also knows there are some folk that may not have done their homework. That comes with the gig. There's some folks that may not be as on it as he would have liked them to be, or as professional as they should be. Well, yeah, he's going to deal with it, but he's not completely surprised because having been in this business, he knows that kind of comes with the gig, and then he'll just have to deal with it. Well, challenge and resistance comes with the gig of life. It's part of it. Therefore, resistance is a force of nature. What do you think you're going to go for in life and not have resistance? Is we just keep being shocked by where it's coming from. You didn't expect it to be your own mother. You didn't expect it to be your friend, or you didn't expect it to be the preacher. You didn't expect it to come from that area. You thought you had that job landed. You didn't expect. The thing is, it's a force of nature. And so with all of the challenges that I have, like I said, I don't want to make it like mine or so, but there's some for real challenges. You know what I'm saying? And I'm never at all well, ashamed is not even an option for me with it, but at all embarrassed or shy about them, because see, I get that that's just part of life. So I would share anytime. I remember when I went out with some buddies, those of you and anybody that may know of, well, more recently, he's well known for being kind of the face of Kanye's Sunday service thing, Jason White.
Yes.
We come out of church, West Angeles, and so we would hang. I remember being at dinner. It was Jason, myself, his wife. Matter of fact, Marquita probably was there because we all used to hang, Damien. And I remember one time they was like, we went to a spot we would hang called Grand Lux in LA. And after church, we close out the place talking. And somebody said, Chaz, that's all you're going to get to eat? And I remember saying, well, I mean, that's all I can afford today. So I'm just get that. And I remember one of them, it may have even been Jason, saying, man, you can't be saying that like in front of everybody. I said, no. Because when I have it and I pay for the entire table, I can say it. I can say that, can I? So I also can say when I don't have it tonight. You understand? I'm open with it because resistance is a force of nature. We all have challenges, y'all. So yes, I've been challenged. I can believe it because it's true, but it's like it's mind-boggling. It is a phenomenon, God's grace to me. I'm sitting in a house now they've tried to take it. I think about 2 or 3 times in the last few years. Okay, I'm amazed that I'm sitting in it right now, having gotten the roof fixed a couple of weeks ago, just putting new carpet in the area that was completely molded out that I couldn't even step in. The house that I thought that I was going to come back to sell before they actually took it, before I couldn't sell it no more. You know what I mean? Like I'm sitting in that place right now, and it wasn't
the same room where it all started, right? The same room.
The room where it started. Right?
Yeah.
The room where it happened. I actually sit every day at this point, in the overcoming of challenge. I live in it. I sit and I'm creating music in the room that is the overcoming of challenge. I was sleeping in my car for about 4 months, not even 2 years ago.
Wow.
Not
after
even 2 years
set it
ago.
off. After set it off.
Oh no. This is after the whole resume almost. Okay. This is I'm out on the street, and the thing is, it looks like because I was in my Mercedes, you know what I mean? And I was at the gym where, you know, Magic and all of those were hanging. So to them, they're thinking I'm just doing just fantastic financially. Well, I was doing amazing internally, but my situation wasn't as lucrative or you know, as people imagined at the time. You know, I remember Chris Spencer, we were at a very star-studded gym, and he invited me to come to one of his events that night. And I was like, yo, and I went and I was VIP, and I sat in that area and enjoyed the show, had a great time. And I went and got my car and parked and slept until morning. He had no idea. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to Magic Johnson before he preaches at church and this and the other. They had no idea that I actually just washed up at the gym. And now I'm parking next to a pretty much a billionaire. And we're rapping. They have no idea. So yes, I've been in all kind of challenge where I didn't look like what it was. But at the same time, I did look like it. I looked like I was well because I was well. You see what I'm saying? The challenges were not, they weren't highlighted, they weren't on display. But what was on display was God's grace, God's favor. I was eating, I was clean, I was taken care of at the same time that I was sleeping in the car. And when I thought I was going to come back to Philadelphia to finally let go of the home that my mom said was meant for me to keep, but I said, well, that's cool. It served its purpose. Maybe it's just time. I had sat out there in LA and communed with God, and I'd gotten in the right mind space that I'm not here to hold on to nothing, but to use everything God gives me and to let go when it's over. So here I am. I'm ready to let go of the house. You know what I'm saying? Needless to say, almost a couple years later, I'm still in it. But I was willing to let go if I had to. I was willing to let go for the sake of the call, for the sake of my goal. I was willing to let go, but it's kind of like that story that she was just talking about, you know, where, you know, you're going to have me bring the promise up there and tell me to kill it. But it was the fact that he was willing to kill it that God said, no, that's not what we're going to do. In fact, you're going to be more blessed than you were before you came up here. I came here to let the house go. But, you know, I feel like God was like, you were in the right space. You were willing to, if that's what it took for you to follow what I put in you. But no, actually, you came here to keep it. And then and to take it to the next level, not just keep it, but to start renewing it. So, yeah, there's plenty challenge. And I encourage everybody to just take what that man, I wish I remembered his name right off the top of my head, told Oprah. And she was taken back by that way of putting it. Resistance is a force of nature. No need to get all bent out of shape over to be overly surprised, because yes, you're human, you'll be surprised. There's no need to do it. It's part of the gig. But so is victory. So is victory. So is getting there. So are not only challenges, but what comes along with them too is opportunity. Just like COVID has been challenging for many. But for some of us, it's been an extreme opportunity that we would not have right now had not this whole situation going on. All of what's ridiculous about it, all of what's true about it, all of what it is. What I'm saying is also what comes with it is opportunity as well. For those of us who are, like the Bible says, those who are alive and remain, those of us who are still alive and remain, we have a shot here to take a step, not just back, but actually that is for us to go forward. Don't be weary in well doing and doing good. For in due season, in other words, when the time is right, you will reap if you faint not. Don't faint along the way. It's that simple. We start getting older. We start experiencing the stuff. We start saying all the sayings that the people we thought were old were saying.
Right.
all it is just the more you live, the more you see the truth. They were just saying the truth, and now we starting to say it.
Yeah, my grandmother and my aunt who are watching, my grandmother's deceased now, but she always said, she just said the other day, she said, just live on a little while, you'll understand it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
And-
That's it.
yeah. And
That's
we have
it.
understanding of that. Everybody watching, before we log off, if you have a question for Chaz, please type your question into the chat on Facebook and also on YouTube. Chaz, I have a question for you with what you were saying.
Sure.
What would you tell your 18-year-old self today if you could go back and talk to the 18-year-old Chaz with what you know now and what you've experienced and with everything you just said, knowing and understanding that resistance is a force of nature and that challenge and resistance come with the gig of life? What would you say to an 18-year-old Chaz?
An 18-year-old Chaz. Practice discipline more. Practice discipline. See, I believe that life is phases. It's different. It's different. It has its sections. It's different scenes. If we're to put it in a movie metaphor, it's different scenes, and all of the scenes are necessary to give us that outcome, that end, for us to really get it. And so, not to necessarily regret anything, but I would say at that time, even it was a cool time, there's a time of exploring and a time of being risky and all of that, which I was at 18. So I don't think that was a problem for me, but I think that I would have benefited even more if I were more disciplined then. So I would have said, yeah, I'm coming into it. But if I were more disciplined then, I think it would have been even greater benefit for me overall in my life. That's what I would have said to the 18-year-old Chaz is practice discipline. You all know we can know what to do. A lot of times we don't know what to do. It's like, I'm ready to do whatever it is. I just don't know what to do. But a lot of times we know what to do, but we are not disciplined enough to do it. So it's not a matter of knowing. It's a matter of actually being disciplined enough to do it. And so because I'm a what they call a free spirit, I am you know what I mean? I'm in the moment, you know what I mean? I live that way, enjoying myself, whenever I would die, will die, I will have lived up to that point because that's just how I am. Right.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing that gets in the way or can get in the way of that or be dangerous with that fantastic style of living is a lack of discipline, because where it's necessary, you know what I mean? We need to be disciplined to attain what it is we're after, as a singer, because here's the other thing. There's a lot of talented people, super talented, that are sitting on their couches looking at people on TV who are not as talented and having an issue with it. But notice the difference. They're on TV and the talent is on the couch. Okay, so while you're sitting there thinking you could do all of what you see and better, this, that, and the other, that's the issue. You're sitting, looking at, versus someone who is pressing on through, doing their best, whatever, and getting to what you're looking at. And the only difference a lot of time is the discipline. And so sometimes being not as talented in an area as someone else may be to one's benefit, because they don't just have this natural thing. They actually put the work in for it. And it's the putting the work in that actually gets you somewhere. So, it's the discipline. And so I think that I'm now coming into a better understanding of how necessary that is. I have always been, to be honest, a bit fearful of discipline, because I felt like discipline would take away that free spirit that makes me me if I became a disciplined person. And I have had to practice getting out of that mindset and going and giving discipline a try, going for it so I can get where I want to be. But that's what I would have said at 18. All right, you're living, your faith is great, you're positive, you love people, you're a person of goodwill, all of the stuff you think is good character, you pretty much are. That was me at 18, except I could have used a bit more discipline. And I think a lot of us could. When I look at you, to be honest, I haven't told you, it's one of the things I admire most, yeah, I'm sitting there like, man, that dude, he really can play. Like, I think there's certain looks that goes with certain talents. You don't look like you play the way you do. You look
Wow,
like you
thank you.
play half of, like, you know how you have that classical element? You look like that guy, really like together, you know what I mean? Professional success, like you have that look. But you, when you come to that gospel, bro, you'll hit some stuff. And I'll be like, yo, like, I had to, hey, switch, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, it's like Mozart playing Mike Burrell. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Wow,
So,
wow,
you
Mike is
know what I mean? Yeah,
amazing.
and you'll
Yeah, you
switch.
grew up with Mike too, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Well, so I'm looking at you, and that's one thing I always admire beside the talent is I can tell like this dude he's a disciplined guy. And I always admired disciplined folk because I always knew that was what would take me to the next place that I can be in my goal. So for me, discipline, man.
This is powerful. As we're closing tonight, I am going to announce the next episode as I always do, but I also want to ask Chaz one last question, and then there
Sure.
is a question. So if you all have questions, now's the time to type them in as I announce the next episode. So I'm excited to announce episode 11. It is going to be a casual conversation with Damien's original Levites, Shanae Campbell, Tiffany
Wow.
Stevenson, and Mattia Washington. It was actually, I think, about 11 or 12 years ago. These
Wow.
three young women came here to this same house where I'm at now here in New York City, and we actually worked on some of my original music for recording. And one of those songs, "Broken to Minister," that I wrote with Lenny Smith, is
Yeah.
now been recorded by the Clark sisters. So it's like a full season moment, and each of these young women are artists in their own right. Shanae Campbell, Tiffany Stevenson, Mattia Washington. You know, I usually list sometimes things that people do, but they're all in so many different genres and working for other artists, but they also are artists themselves. So it's going to be an amazing conversation. So spread the word. The flyers are going to go up. That's going to be next Tuesday, August 4th, 2020 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I see we have some questions, but I have a question for you, Chaz. So, you know, a lot of people don't realize it, but before COVID-19, pre-COVID-19, people could catch you at one of the most amazing writers, musicians, like just playing, and amazing singers alive today, and that is none other than the great Valerie Simpson. Wow. I had a chance to travel with her in Ashford and work with them, but she's like amazing. Yeah, I had a chance to go with them to when they were working on their Broadway show.
Wow.
Invisible Light.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
And you could always catch Chaz sometimes at the Sugar Bar.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, people could catch you different places, but now in with the social distancing, what are the projects that you're working on that you can talk about? Or what are some of the things that you have that are coming out? Or what ways can we connect with you as well? Website, your Instagram, I want to put it up, your Cash App, whatever it is. I'll let the people know. And
Yeah.
I'll put it up while you're talking.
Sure. Yeah, well, speaking of Sugar Bar, I'll be hosting it tomorrow night. So of course, in this time, we're all being virtual. Sugar Bar is now virtual. We've been doing it for a couple of months or so now. So Valerie is on every single week, no matter who is hosting. This is my third or fourth time doing it since we've done virtual. So speaking of that, tomorrow night on you can catch it live 8 o'clock Eastern time. On the Sugar Bar page on Facebook. And so but that's all the time, man. That is family. That is so many things, that place for me.
Yeah.
And so and yeah, of course we look forward to when we're able to be in there again. It's a magical experience. I got to Carnegie Hall from playing right there at the Sugar Bar. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So but meanwhile, I'm working on a new album. It has been I started putting out episodes of music, like, you know, maybe 3 songs, 2 songs for a bit, just for a few months last year. And now it's time to jump back on and give a full project. It is fantastic. It's just good stuff. I'm nowhere near done, but I have about 4 albums of songs right now to go through for one. And not including the new stuff that's going to come that happens all the time. So that is one thing I'm working on. Also, I will be bringing Thought by way of YouTube. I will have a channel. I'm working on that because I like, by the time I come to you, I want it right. So I won't be working it out in front of you. But but I'm building that content, content of ideology. I had a thing going on for a while called Chazology.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring that back in the form of live conversation like we're doing now, but we're not sure if it'll be Zoom, Facebook, but I'm putting together having dialogue at a consistently every week, talking about different things. That is always fantastic, a bunch of fun because I'm loose, I'm open with my. That's why I call it Chazology. Matter of fact, Jason White's wife is the one who came up with that term, Chazology. She would be
Wow.
like, "See, that's the problem. That's that Chazology right there. That's you talking crazy." And so so the new album, cool as a musician, just got 3 songs picked up on a TV show for I believe for Young and the Restless the other day. I'm in here making music. The production that's coming out of here is killing now because I've had nothing to do but take it up since I've been in here. So yeah, that's what's up. As far as what you can see on the streaming, I lastly did right before we went into shutdown a show called The Blacklist. I believe of this last season, I am episode 17, a real fun character that was of The Blacklist. That's NBC. And right before that, the finale episode of NCIS, New Orleans. That's easy to find if you watch that. I'm the last episode. Other than that, check out Luke Cage and the second season and everything else before that to just stream until we can get back to actors. We get back into shows. Some shows are starting to come back now as far as they're shooting. But for those of us who are not on, like have a a regular role on a show, of course we're waiting for our industry to open back up. Meanwhile, it's music. So my Instagram is Handsome Chaz. I never changed the name. That speaking of 18-year-old Chaz, that's him. So that started with an email. Now that's the handle. But Handsome Chaz is for Instagram. It is also for Facebook, which I had not been on as much lately. But trust me, that's all coming with all I'm doing. Same thing for the Cash App, Handsome Chaz. And if anything happens to my face, I'm gonna still call it handsome.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what's up. And on Instagram and Facebook, you will be able to follow me there and find out as soon, which I think will be within the next month or so, when I have the other platforms up with new content. Then the new album, we will see when that is finished. I'm actually just starting putting that together, like literally just starting that. So I'm starting with over 40 something songs to choose from out of that, and we'll see what new comes, and then look for whatever else is next with Chaz and Damien.
Yeah. Say that. We've been talking.
I look forward to our time, bro.
We've been talking about collaborating for a while. We were supposed to do some type of a master class. That didn't happen, and I think we were at an event for the film. It was the what was it, like a release party for the DVD for War Room.
Yeah.
And we connected there, and this is Getty Images, and we've been talking about doing music together. Like, if you all don't realize it, Chaz is like one of the most amazing singers alive.
You,
I mean, he can channel so many great people, even Luther Vandross, and so many Donny Hathaway, Winans. I mean, Clark's got it all in his voice.
All the ones I just love, right?
And I think you were listening to some Pace Sisters earlier tonight. I think I heard in your background.
Oh man, I absolutely love them girls.
And then he's an amazing musician, like just playing. Just playing, and a brilliant mind.
What I want to do next in COVID is actually sit with one of my boys' master classes, Quinnell Gaskin.
Oh yeah, Quinnell he's an anomaly.
That's just musical insanity. But he has some stuff. I will sit down when I can just sit down a little bit and shed and learn and get better at. But I really admire you, Damien. I really, really do. I think you're fantastic, and just congratulations on your life, bro. I spent a lot of time looking at that friend / mentor of yours when you told me she passed, the opera singer, And,
Jesse,
and yes,
yeah.
because of you, I actually got into her on that level. I was like, he has no idea how much time I'm putting into this right now, just because
Really?
of him. But after you told me about her, right after she passed, you were just dealing with all of the doings and organization of all of that, and I went in and really just started looking at a lot of her and was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, and I was like, man, he had access to this greatness, man. Just congratulations on your whole life. I look to do a lot of what you do, those same type of Lincoln Center platforms and things like that.
Definitely.
I feel like I belong in those type of those type of platforms, but in those type of moments and spaces. So now my job is to deserve it.
Yes, and we'll do some of that together for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
excited
awesome.
about working with you in the future.
Right
You
on.
know, tonight I just put up, Jesse Norman, and thank you so much, Anne Marie Hudley Simmons. She is the national president of the National Association of Negro Musicians. It's a very historic and important organization that a lot of people should join. Their conference was supposed to be in Philadelphia this summer, but of course, because of COVID-19, it wasn't there.
Right.
You could have been there. And I want to shout out also, this is like family to you and family to me, Marquita Knight. She's watching now. And one of the greatest singers alive, and I've been blessed to be able to work with her. And I met her and Chaz at the same time for my godmother Rita Womack's conference in LA. And Marquita's an actress as well, been in Disney, and I think they've done a lot of music together. And some of her first.
All I can say is he who. I'm just saying that for Marquita, everybody. That's all I'm gonna say for her.
Awesome. Well, I did see 2 questions, bro, and I'm gonna let you go. Let's see. Okay, this is a question from Brian Anthony Smith. I put it up on the screen. What was it like acting in Luke Cage and working with Marvel Entertainment?
Oh man, it was such a tease because my friend always told me.
Chaz? I think we lost him, everybody. But he was saying that it was a tease. Well, tonight has been full of several technical difficulties, but I will still ask your other question, Dana, and make sure that he gets it back to you. I'm not sure what happened where he is. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, next week is going to be super exciting because next week we have a phenomenal group of young ladies coming on, and it's going to be very exciting to talk and reminisce about things of the past. And that is going to be my sisters, Tiffany Stevenson, Shanae Campbell, and Mattia Washington, a casual conversation with Damien's Original Levites. Thank you all so much for staying on and for listening. I am just so excited about the connections that are taking place and the relationships that are being forged amongst yourselves, and also the people that I'm getting to know because of this platform and because of these dialogues. Thank you all so much. I will see you all next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.